Hi, welcome to the Teeny Tinkers channel. I make ball jointed doll and craft related content. You're here and it's the 6th edition of Interview with the Artist, a series where I chat with doll artists about their inspirations and how they do it and all that good stuff. Today I'm chatting with Bruna Bizzato, and she is the creative mind behind Morningstar Dolls. Hi there!
Hi!
So can you tell me about yourself and your dolls?
Well, my name is Bruna. I am head sculptor, caster, photographer, and everything else aside from web designer of Morningstar Dolls. My husband helps me a lot with the site. Without him, I wouldn't have managed to create what I do. I sculpt dolls for 12 years now, I think.
Wow.
Dolls are just my passion. I just love to think about them, how to customize them, how to sculpt them, how to make new designs. It's just the perfect job for me, I think. When I'm on vacation, I always at some point start to think, oh, I wish I was home making my dolls. And it sounds silly, but it just makes me happy.
I can tell it makes you happy, first of all, by all the cute little faces behind you. Can you introduce your dolls to us, please?
Oh, yes. So from left to right, this is Sophie. They are very small, so I think she's the first doll I made. I started sculpting her in 2008. It was so hard and so challenging.
Mm-hmm.
But in the end, I did cast her. She's resin cast. She's painted, not tinted. I learned a lot with this experience, but she's the first one, and she's 13 years old now. This one here, Caroline, she's the second doll I made. After I finished Sophie, I started all again from scratch.
Amazing.
She's from a period where I had more information, I started sculpting her in 2009, 2010, I think. I changed everything that I did in Sophie, the way I sculpted, the materials I used, and I started thinking more about how the joints would work. She's a very good doll after Sophie. I think
she looks great.
Yeah, I think I learned a lot from her, and I started to use the proper equipment for resin casting. When I was working on Sophie, I didn't know back there how to cast with pressure tanks, and when I started making casting of her, I started doing her with the proper equipment, and the casting was still very hard to do, but it wasn't so bad as at the first doll.
Yeah.
This is Ballista. Is it Ballista?
She love her face.
I want to do a face that could be sad, angry, and have a lot of range of emotion.
She's very expressive.
She has the same body as Caroline, and I just wanted to do this face, and I made it. This is Jude. He's a boy. You can't see, but he's a boy. I just wanted to experiment sculpting a boy, and it took me a while to finish him. I had to re-sculpt his body several times, the male anatomy, so it was very, very cranky, very...
It sounds like sculpting a boy doll was a really new experience for you, and you learned a lot from doing it, though.
Oh yeah, thank you for translating what my brain doesn't want to talk. A completely new experience, and I wasn't used to sculpting the male character, but I wanted to try and make something different from what I was normally doing. Looking face, and I like this.
I really like his nose.
And this is Francisca. Oops. This wig is a little bit too big for her, so it keeps falling. But this is Francisca, my plus-size girl. My pride and joy.
She's the first doll I found of yours, and the whole reason I found you was through, I believe there was a blog post, I can't remember which one, but it was talking about curvy BJDs, and she was on it, and that's actually how I found you, was through her.
I think everybody found me through her, because after I made her, when I first posted a picture of her on Tumblr, it was the most shared, liked, and everything. What was her? Everybody wants her, and everybody wants to see more of her. Really happy that people like her. I started sculpting her, I think, in 2015, and I finished in 2018. It was 3 years. Most of the art you find, the references and the pictures of people, models, are Tink.
Yes. A different experience I found sculpting a curvy doll. You said the reference images aren't there, and it's different the way the joints sit in the body sometimes, so I totally get what you're saying.
Yeah, it was very different, and I had to change a lot of things, a lot of joints while I was sculpting. Normally I plan the doll. I draw them before starting sculpting, and I had to change much of it that she could move right.
Sometimes you see plus-size dolls. Actually, more than plus-size dolls, you'll see pear-shaped dolls. And it's nice to see, like, a true plus-size doll. She's very, like, proportionate and even. I love that about her.
Oh, thank you. It's curious, because when I started sculpting her, I started drawing her, because there's a lot of reference of pear-shaped dolls, and
I see you've got one more little friend back there.
And this one is Amanita. She's my newest one, and she is a mushroom. And she has the same body as Francisca. I just can't stop making plus-size girls, and there she is.
You mentioned a little bit about using a pressure pot and stuff for casting. Can you tell me what materials you use to sculpt?
Okay, to sculpt paper clay, mostly. Some parts are very tiny and very hard to make little details with paper clay, so epoxy sculpt is way better. And Caroline made with wax, soy wax. But after that, I started on paper clay. I think it's easier to make the joints work and seeing if everything is balanced, and it's what I use nowadays. 2020 I started learning how to make how to sculpt on the computer, because a friend of mine just couldn't stop talking about it, and because she had got a 3D printer, she said, you have to buy one, you have to start working with it. And some months later, I just accepted and started learning how to use 3D, and it's very nice.
Yeah, something I like about 3D sculpting is there's less worry that if you do something wrong and a doll breaks, it's very easily fixable in 3D. Not so fixable sometimes, or not so easily fixable when it's a clay doll.
Yeah, when you're sculpting a clay doll, if you need to change something, you need to change the sculpture, and you don't have a backup. If in 3D you can make a lot of backups, and it's so comforting because you can't just save different files and have the old versions, and just fix here and there without changing much.
So when you were making your dolls, did you run into any issues?
Sculpting itself was hard because I had no about it. I was cartoonist. I worked with drawings for online courses, experiencing drawing a lot, but I never sculpt. So it was very hard to understand how the materials worked and how to make the base and how to make everything. It was very new for me. And then when I started to make the castings, if you don't have a pressure pot, it probably will get a lot of bubbles, and I had no idea what was going on and why it didn't work. And I started doing this in 2008, so there wasn't much information on the internet. I was going crazy because I don't know what to do. I think this was the most difficult thing after having to learn how to sculpt.
Even now, there's not a lot of resources or information about BJD casting specifically, like home casting. So I can imagine that would be a lot harder in 2008.
Practically none. I learned a lot of things watching videos from the industries that made resin. Nowadays, there's not much information about BJDs specifically, but there's about home casting, and that helps a lot.
Casting is still something that scares me. It sounds so complicated, and I don't even quite know what a pressure pot is. So, like, kudos to you for learning how to cast your own dolls. That's incredible. So, what do you wish someone had told you before you made and sold your first doll?
Get a pressure pot.
Yeah.
And use funnels. The best thing I ever learned in 10 years of making castings at home is use clear plastic acetate.
Do the funnels help with mess or bubbles or both or something else?
When you're casting, you have to pour the resin slowly, but the resin has a short cure time, short working time. It's about 5 minutes, the one that I use. But you have to put it slowly. It's very hard to pour it slowly when we have just 5 minutes, and you self-conscious about that 5 minutes just running out. But if you make a funnel and you pour the resin in the funnel will do the work for you, will pour for you. And it will pour slowly, and it will help decrease the number of bubbles.
So what's your favorite part of making and selling dolls?
What I like most about making them is making design, drawing their faces, thinking about them, thinking about their personalities, how they'll look. And then when I sell them, the best thing, my favorite thing is to see how each person that got one doll has a completely different view of the same sculpt. It's like a blank canvas, different people that own it. And I said, oh, this is the doll I made, Caroline or Francisca, and they were, wow, they're the same doll? Yeah, they are the same, just painted differently, and the hair it's unique too, so it's so fun. You make an empty canvas, so people get really happy. It makes me so happy too.
Yeah, I feel you on that one. It's definitely a great part. I love seeing how different paint or different wigs or different clothes can really change the way a doll looks, and it's so exciting seeing how creative other people are too. I love that.
Yeah, and sometimes other people have ideas completely different from you.
So what's next for you?
Next, I'm going to make bigger dolls. Thanks to 3D printing. Actually, I started sculpting this big girl here.
I love her.
She's clay. I made her by hand. But she's kind of fragile, and she gets bruises and scratches very easily because she's so heavy. And because of that, I decided to make her in 3D as well. So I think I'm gonna print her first, then try to cast her.
That's gonna be a big job casting a big girl like that.
Yeah, but since I started learning how to make 3D sculpting, oh, she's very heavy.
She looks heavy.
Yeah, she is. I made a smaller version of her.
Oh, I love her too. So cute.
It's amazing because I started learning sculpting 3D, copying my own sculpture on the computer, and you can print the size you want. So here she is.
Love it. Oh, she's so cool. I'm so excited to see what you do with them, and to keep track of your social media and to watch them as you continue to make them. If everyone wants to kind of keep track of all the girls you've made, and the boy, sorry, Jude, and your new girls, where should they go?
The place to go, it's my Instagram. I think it's the place where I post most. If you want to see what I'm doing, go to Instagram.
Yeah, so everybody, I will link the Instagram down below. I'll also put a link to the Morningstar Dolls website so that you can go right to the website if you like. If you're already subscribed to my channel, thanks so much for subscribing. If you're new here, I hope you like the content and will consider subscribing. As always, I hope you have a fantastic day. Bye!
Bye!